Welcome to High Octane Leadership with Donald Thompson. This season, we're diving deeper with more solo episodes, where I'll share the experiences that have led to recognition by EY, Forbes, Fast Company, and others. Not as a boast, but as milestones on my entrepreneurial path. From growing multi-million-dollar firms to successful business exits and building high-performance teams with a global perspective. I'll reveal the insights and strategies from my journey and share them with you so that we can win together. Alongside these solo episodes, we'll have industry visionaries and thought leaders, and we'll explore effective leadership. Ready to empower your leadership journey with real success stories? Let's embark on this transformational journey together. Welcome to another episode of High Octane Leadership. I'm your host, Donald Thompson, and today I have the pleasure of spending time with an entrepreneur, speaker, business leader, Miss Dionne Griffin-McGee. Dionne, welcome.
Thank you so much, Donald. Excited to be here and appreciate the opportunity to share.
We've chatted offline of this quite a bit, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is both your story, your energy, your commitment to helping others. Take a few minutes and just introduce yourself to our audience and talk to me a little bit about, within that introduction, kind of that drive to become an entrepreneur.
Wow, that's a loaded question. So I'm gonna give you the Cliff Notes, and the Cliff Notes simply look like speaker, author, Chief Executive Officer of D.G. McGee Enterprises. We are a federally certified woman-owned small business, and our focus is around career development and entrepreneurial development. That looks like a keynote, that looks like workshops, that looks like cohort implementation, where we design cohorts to help folks grow and scale in their careers as well as in their businesses. One of my favorite things to do, I am a certified project manager. So all those things coming from the corporate space into this space has just followed me. And you can ask my husband. I am full-blown PMP. I drive him crazy with all my checklists and making things green and what's yellow and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, that's where we thrive. And I really took what I learned in corporate, what I was offering to corporate, and threw it on the other side of the fence, if you will, to start my own firm. And because of some of the challenges as a African-American female in the leadership space, it pushed me to become an entrepreneur. And I'm sure we'll get into it with my book. And so I share some of those stories and some of those challenges. And honestly, I haven't looked back.
One of the things, and thank you so much for that. And I am blessed. My wife is very organized, and it keeps the life and the businesses going. But it's not always fun. And so what I will ask you though, and we'll bounce around a little bit and just enjoy each other's company. But from a business perspective, when you think about project management, when you think about those with creative ideas but needing people to actually execute and make them occur, how did that become something that you made a career out of, right? There's a lot of people that are organized, that a lot of people that don't professionalize it. And two, how do you explain the value of project management to people that don't fully understand it in terms of how it makes a business grow and prosper?
Oh, absolutely. So to get to the space of becoming a certified PMP, I really had to draw a line in the sand and to look at, what is it that I really love? What is it that I'm really passionate about? So my career exists of a time and space in the mortgage industry, from the mortgage industry to the telecom industry, and from the telecom industry to the utility industry. So that looked like sales, that looked like customer service, it looked like leadership, but the backbone to all of that was the organization and the structure, the SOPs behind it. And I really had to do a self evaluation, if you will, and look at what it was that I was doing, that I was passionate about, where it was that I really thrived. And it was the organizational piece of it. It was the relationships behind it. It was the deadlines. Most folks don't like deadlines, but deadlines drive me. I'm like, we got to have this done by this time. And I'm looking at it, right? I was like, this is nothing but pure project management, right? So I was already doing it, but the flip side of it was let's go get the certification. Let's go get the credentials to put behind it to really validate the work that we're doing. So at the end of the day, regardless of whether folks know in the workforce or on the business side that they're doing project management or not, they just don't know what it is, right? And it's necessary for the success of any business when we talk about growth and scalability. So just as simple as us being on here today, someone behind the scenes had to schedule it. Somebody had to accept it. Somebody had to do this, and this. All these things happen in order for us to be here today. That is project management. But a lot of folks don't think about it in that manner. But in order for us to get to where it is that we need to be, let's talk about domesticated, being domesticated. A grocery list is project management. Like my grocery list is literally laid out by the grocery store, right? I know what I'm going to get to first. I make my grocery list in the order of the produce, right? Then I'm going to make my way to the breads, and then I'm going to make my way to the meats and all the things. So I lay it out. Why? Because that saves time, and saving time saves money. So my grocery list is project management, but a lot of folks are doing it. They don't even realize.
That is going to be a great clip for social media, right? The grocery list is project management. And if you think about it, right, you described an organized process to make your way through the store and save time and be more efficient. If I have that same grocery list, I'm going to be walking all around the store, sightseeing, picking up a magazine. and then 2 hours later, I have half the list.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm hurrying up to finish. And I think that's a very practical way to think about the role and the things that people sometimes don't value as much, those things that are behind the scenes, but they make a business grow, and they make, in my case, right, they make leaders look more together than they really are. and that is project management and my team and all that good stuff.
Exactly, for sure. Like I literally time myself when I go to the grocery store. And I literally, okay, it's 1:00. For example, I got to be out of here by 1:30. Like this is my time. My list should flow very seamlessly for me to be getting back in my car in 30 minutes based on this list, because I have something else that I have to do. And again, time is money.
Hey, that is wonderful. And thanks for sharing that. I want to now segue into your book, right? So a lot of people talk about writing a book. A lot of people get started writing a book, right? But you had the concept and then the project management and the discipline behind it, and you wrote a book. And I want you to share in your words, tell our audience about the book content, but also why you felt like it was important now to have to get done.
Yes, great question. Thank you for that. So, Finding Your Roar is the title of my book. That was my debut as an author. And honestly, it was necessary for me to share. It was in full-blown transparency. It was cathartic. I needed to be able to share the message, and it talks about my story on climbing the corporate ladder and some of the challenges that I had being a Black woman in leadership, trying to break the glass ceiling, right? And I found that just because we may go through training, we may have certifications, we may have credentials, degrees, and all the things. Everyone is not going to be happy about your arrival in the workforce. And I share that message with college students. You know, a lot of students are graduating. It's graduation season, right? Graduating from college and not realizing some of the barriers that they're going to encounter when they get into the workforce. So, in full transparency, once again, it took me 18 months to write the book. Does it take 18 months to write a book? Absolutely not. It was the project management piece in me, but I will share that I put some buffers in place to deal with what I was going through mentally to even share the story. Because a lot of times when we are writing, and it's a true story, we have to process what it is that we experienced and what we went through. And if those experiences are traumatic, to bring them back up, to regurgitate those experiences, our minds don't know that it happened 2 years ago or whether it's happening right at that moment. So I mentally had to take some time to process the lack thereof diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in this workspace that I was in, right? And so there would be some days that I would walk past my laptop and knowing full well that I needed to, write and get it done. I was like, I can't mentally today. I cannot do it. So there were days that I walked past my computer because it was the challenge of processing and remembering sitting to tables and folks were trying to figure out how I got to the table. Why is she at the table, right? How does she get in this room? Why does she keep getting promoted and all the things that I had to deal with? So the book talks about me being in a space of 4,000 employees, less than 10% minorities, and I was the only African American female in a leadership position. And I tell folks all the time, you don't have to be a statistics major to know that there was something wrong with those numbers. And every time I would challenge the system and simply say, this environment is not the right culture, right? In order for us to really grow and scale, diversity is a sea. It's a melting pot. When you bring the right folks to the table, regardless of who they are, what they look like, if they have the wherewithal and the innovation and creativity for success, it doesn't matter as long as the job is getting done, right? And at the end of the day, that affects the bottom line. But if you just focus on a certain type of people, the company will never grow. And you will continue to lose people because they don't feel that sense of belonging, diversity, equity, or inclusion. So that's the story that I share. It was hard to share because in some points of it, as a kid, I said, one day I'm gonna be in the C-suite. I'm gonna sit in that glass room in that fishbowl. And when I finally got in that room, I had to question myself, do I really want to be in here? Like, how long can I sustain this? Because I love what I was doing, but it was the people that did not appreciate or value what I was bringing to the table because I was a Black woman, in full transparency.
What would you, and I really appreciate both the why of the book and then some of the details you shared on some of the challenges in corporate America. What would you advise leaders in the C-suite to do and think about differently, right, to start their DEI journey, their inclusive leadership journey? Because there's a lot for them to juggle.
Yes.
And this isn't making excuses. This just means anytime somebody's learning something new, how can you help them understand in a simple way, right, that diversity, equity, inclusion is good for them, good for their team, good for their business?
The simplest way that I've even shared it in a workshop and even in a keynote, if you're sitting at a table and everybody at that table looks like you, then we have a problem. Just that simple. Just that simple. If you're sitting in a meeting and everyone on your team has on a Oxford shirt and some khaki pants, then we got to switch it up. I can't make it any simpler than that, right? So you have to start from the top down. And when we talk about leadership, to your point, it's not to check the box, right? When we talk about the diversity movement and checking, it's not a check the box to say, hey, I have one African American female sitting in the executive space. Check the box. We can move on. No, it's bigger. It's bigger than that. And you want to create a culture where people actually want to come to work, to do the work, and enjoy the people that they are doing it with, where everyone has a voice and everyone feels valued. And so what I will say to some leaders, not all, right, to some leaders that have those challenges, I would say, if you have minorities that are in leadership, I personally feel and professionally feel that they need a different type of support and mentorship than someone that is the majority. They really do, because you don't really realize what they're dealing with behind the scenes in order to lead a department or organization.
No, that is powerful. When you think about your book, Finding Your Roar, right? How did you come up with that title? Like, tell me, I'm super curious, right? So, and not just so much the content of the book, and you've shared that as we've talked, but like, how did you put that together? And what do you mean finding your roar? That's a very specific title.
Yes. Very, very specific. Truth and point. Roar simply means to be relentless, optimistic, ambitious, and results driven. That is who I am as an individual and as a businesswoman and professional, right? And I wanted others, not just women. I'm a woman, I share the story, but there are also men that are in the workforce that are dealing with these challenges as well. So I don't want anyone to walk away from here and say, oh, the book is for women. No, it's not. The book is for those that are in the workforce, and sometimes you don't feel appreciated or valued. So in this instance, I also wrote the book, one, cathartic for me, two, because I knew that other folks were dealing with it and needed to hear the story to let them know you're not by yourself, right? But at the end of the day, I had to find my voice because within the walls of corporate America, my voice had been challenged or potentially tried to be muted. And so I want that not only for myself, but I want that for everyone that I encounter. What is it that you need to be doing, whether it's in the workforce or whether that's on your entrepreneurial journey? So my roar is simply to help folks find their place and growth in their careers as well as on this entrepreneurial journey. And we talk about both because I spent 25 years in corporate. So people say, well, you're an entrepreneur now. Why do you talk to corporate people? That is who I am. That's where I came from. And I can't negate that because I know far too many folks that are still in the workforce that struggle with growth and scalability. So we've talked about that. I don't want people to be in a position of administration and be in that role for 30 years without growing. If administration is your sweet spot, let's hone the sweet spot, right? How do you become the supervisor or manager of the department? How do you become the director or vice president of administration? That doesn't mean that you have to be entry level for 30 years, because when we get ready to retire, you have to prepare for that. And if we stay in this one spot for 30 years, then we have minimized what retirement looks like, right? So that's why we have a lot of folks that are still working during the second act after retirement because they did not properly scale the career, right? And then it can also look like, hey, I'm in the workforce, but I have this niche. I make the most amazing blankets or the most amazing quilts. I love to cater this, that, and the other. That can be part of the second act. I'm not against people having jobs and becoming an entrepreneur. Like, why not? Why not?
That is awesome. And I think that, you know, while you were talking, I was thinking about that metaphor of roar, and I think about the lion, and I think about, I watch all these shows and stuff on YouTube and different things. When you think about roar and a lion, you think about attacking your best self. It is a fierceness. It is a competitiveness. And no one's going to give you what you think you deserve in corporate America, in life. And so for me, in finding my roar was about taking that full responsibility for the results, right, in my life. And so when I think about the last R, that results oriented, right? I think so many people are waiting for others to change to give them what they deserve. And that may be true and right and all those things. But the business reality is that people don't give you what you deserve until they're scared of losing you. People don't move just for the sake of doing the right thing. They have to either see opportunity or risk. Opportunity that they can make more money than you cost, they can make more money than your bonuses, that you're so valuable that they don't want to mistreat you or lose you because they'll feel that pain. And most of us coming up through the ranks are not roaring. We're at the water cooler whining.
Yes.
And there's no pay upgrade at the water cooler.
At all.
There ain't no promotion at the water cooler.
Mm-mm.
That's the wrong audience.
Exactly.
For you to roar.
Exactly.
Right? And to me, I appreciate your book. I appreciate your comments because you talked about it in the context of that personal responsibility as well as what the system needs to do to change. I think both things matter for people to really succeed and grow.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I have to tell you, I have to share this with you. I feel like all leaders need a millennial on their team. So my daughter, I have to give her credit for this. The book cover was her idea. We're sitting at our marketing meeting trying to figure out what this book cover is going to look like. We already have the theme of the lion, and then to even look at some of the content of Daniel in the lion's den, right? And she's sitting to the table. She said, "What if we could morph your face half lion?" I was like, "What? Really?" And so the book cover designer is sitting there, right? She said, "Ma, you remember Face Off?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. I remember the movie Face Off, one of my favorite movies." She said, "Go with that theme in mind," is what she says to DeVashi, who was our book cover designer. And he simply says, what's challenging to folks that are not, the folks that are graphically challenged. I was like, "Can you do that?" He's like, "Oh, that's easy." He said, "Send me a forward facing picture and I'll take it from there." Okay. When he sent me the first edit for the book cover, I was coming down Highway 95. And when I saw him email me with an attachment, I pulled off on the shoulder. Okay. Cause I was like, I don't want to open this. The car cannot be moving. And when I opened it up, I hollered and screamed so loud. I said, "This is it." Like it was one cut. It wasn't multiple revisions. I said, "This is it." And I told my daughter, I said, "You're a genius. You're a genius." And the rest is history.
That is awesome. I love the quick point, but I think we need to amplify that all leaders need millennials and Gen Z on their team. What you did was you talked about diversity, but most people think about diversity as gender. Most people think about diversity as race. Diversity is celebrating our unique differences and learning, right, from one another. And to have those generational differences, people just think differently based on phase of life, experiences, and different things. And as leaders, we want all of those to be brought to bear so that we can have the best idea possible.
Absolutely. I have led multi-generational teams, and the conversation is different with each one of them, right? The delivery and the response is different, but we all get to the same end goal. Like I've had some folks on my team that are seasoned. I've had some folks that were my age. I've had some folks that are younger than me, but we all were able to get along well. But what I delivered to them, I talked to them the way that they would want to be talked to. Like I'm talking to like the younger folks, so I would make it hip when I would have a conversation with them because I have kids, so I know their lingo, right? So you got to be able to speak the language, but yet get the job done. And so a lot of folks don't understand that it is again the melting pot, bringing everyone together and creating unity, regardless of race, creed, color, age, sexual orientation. It doesn't matter. We're here for one common goal, and if these people are the ones that can get the job done, these are the people that can get the job done.
I want to flip the script a little bit
Okay.
and give you an opportunity from entrepreneur to entrepreneur.
Yes.
To ask me some questions about anything you like.
All right.
That maybe can be helpful to your business, helpful to your audience, and help other people, in your words, find their roar. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
And we'll take the last few minutes that we have, 20 minutes or so,
Okay.
and flip the script.
When we talk about inclusive leadership, do you feel or have you seen it in a space where organizations are not actually paying attention to diversity, equity, inclusion until it's too late?
That's a great question. I think that, the phrase DEI has been hijacked a little bit in the marketplace, and a lot of people now associate DEI with a race conversation, and that's part of it. Sexual orientation conversation, well, that's part of it. A gender conversation, again, that's part of it. But diversity, equity, inclusion is really about people being able to bring their full self to work and creating a winning culture, right, where all people can feel welcome and productive and safe, right, in an environment. So when we pull back the dialogue and talk about inclusive leadership, people have a mental model that's much more open, right? Because the word inclusive, right, everybody wants to be included. So we've simplified it by talking about that. The second thing in terms of doing it too late, absolutely, but it's never too late to get something right. And so what we try to do when we're talking to inclusive leaders is stair step that you don't and can't and aren't expected to change everything at once. So why not start with your language? How do you and your leadership team give and receive feedback? What kind of language and communication do you use in your marketing? How do you have your company meetings and communicate to your teams? How can you do that in a more inclusive, transparent way? And so a lot of times when we're thinking about inclusive leadership, people think they have to change everything about them all at once. And that's not actually anywhere close to the truth. There's many things that companies that are doing well have done well. We want to applaud that and continue to move on that. But what you do as an inclusive leader is now start to read your exit interview data from people that have left your business and why did they leave? And of those reasons why they left, what things can you change if you have the courage and commitment to do so? Right? If somebody leaves because somebody offered them 3 times the money for the same job,
Right.
well, you know what? You might not be able to do something about that.
Right.
Bake them a cake, right? Bake them a cake, wish them well,
Right.
like cheer for them.
Right.
But if on that exit interview, I didn't really feel like I got mentorship from my leadership for my growth, you might be able to do something about that. I didn't feel like I got consistent feedback on how I could improve or things I was doing well. I didn't think I was being recognized for my contribution. When you start to hear those things in your exit interviews, in your employee pulse surveys, those are things, if you have the courage and commitment, you can do something about. So inclusive leadership, an example of, is really listening to what your employees and team members and stakeholders are saying and writing, and then look at the things that you agree with and focus on those. What most people do, Dion, is they'll have a conversation about growth, inclusive leadership, DEI, organizational change, and the whole conversation is about things they don't agree with. Versus the 4 or 5 things that they do agree with, let's start with those.
Right. Yeah.
Let's just get on the journey of progress. Let's just get on the journey of doing better and create an environment that while we're doing something together that we do agree, we will naturally create a better foundation of understanding on those things that we don't and have a better conversation down the road.
No, that's great. That's great. Let's focus on what we can fix or rectify. Right. A lot of times, folks have said to me in regards to the workforce that they sometimes feel over mentored and under sponsored. And we talked about that at the inclusive leadership event as well. What are your thoughts on that? Are we not sponsoring folks enough? And when I say sponsor, I mean to be able to call someone's name in a room that they're absent from. And I'm thankful for those that have mentored and sponsored me, because I probably would not be as far as I am had I not had that support.
Yeah. What a powerful question. Let me define the two, and then we'll talk about them. So mentorship is more active. It's like coaching. It's somebody that's working with you in your role today, how to do that better, giving you something to read that or a conference to go to, and be a sounding board for how you map out your career development. Mentorship is a great thing and has a phenomenal place in organizations. Sponsorship is different. Sponsorship is someone that is in the C-suite and you're not, advocating for you in a space where you're not, that's talking to you about what you need to do to prepare for a job that hasn't even opened yet because they're 2 or 3 levels above and understand the budget planning for what the organization is going to do to grow in the next 20 to 24 months. Sponsorship is encouraging you to apply for a job that you might only have 75% of the skills, but knowing that you can train from that 75% to 100% because of who you are, what you can do, and your potential. Sponsorship is when my mentor, Grant Willard, early in my career, took me to lunch with our corporate lawyer and him. And I said, Grant, why am I here? I don't mess with contracts. He said, yeah, but one day you will. And as you continue to grow and prosper, you're going to need to know our corporate attorney. He's going to need to know you so that you can work on some of the contracts and different relationships that I'm working on now. So Grant introduced me to people that would be needed by me a year, 2, 3 years in advance because he believed in my further growth, education, and empowered me to get there. I had to do the work. I had to be worthy of mentorship and sponsorship. But there's a big difference between giving advice and sponsorship, which creates new opportunities for people, right? And those are 2 big deltas in what gets ahead. And part of the reason I am sitting here today, the success that I have is because I've had both mentorship and sponsorship.
Likewise. So you said something that was profound. You had to be worthy of mentorship and sponsorship. And that is actual and factual, because a lot of times folks will think that, why am I not getting mentored, or why am I not being sponsored? You have to do the work. And you have to do the work to even show the potential to even spend time for mentorship and sponsorship. So you want to always show up and bring your best selves to the office. I've seen folks say to me before, how did you get into leadership? I was here before you, right? I said, oh, you have your L's mixed up. Then what do you mean? I was like, there's longevity and there's leadership. Those are two different things, right? Just because you've been here for a long time does not mean you're worthy of leadership. That just means you have longevity, right? Those are two different things.
That is a powerful way to phrase it. You don't get promoted just because you showed up.
No, absolutely not.
Right? The results are in the roar, right? Matter, right? Results matter. And while you're looking for change, wanting more information, wanting mentorship, wanting sponsorship, we all need to start with being an A player in the job that you're in. Developing a reputation for results in the job that you're in. And it is really important that, one of the things that I wanted to do in any role I've ever had is I wanted to be so good at it that it was impossible to be ignored.
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. And you either going to recognize me here at this company, or somebody else is going to recognize me and I'm going to move over there and carry their business card, right? Or start my own shop. But I'm going to be so good that I am impossible to ignore. And that's the personal responsibility component that I think we need to continue to share and train and grow our young people in. The world is not perfect. This is my dad, one of his big lessons. The world is not perfect because we want it to be, because we hope it to be. You have to learn how to win with the cards that you're dealt. And I believe that's in my core. I want more equity in corporate America. I'm working towards it every day. But until it gets here, we need to win with the cards we're dealt. Right? We need to figure out how to lift each other up, how to promote what each other are doing. One of the reasons I'm so excited to have you here today is I want people to hear about your book, right? Finding Your Roar. There will be people that hear my voice but relate to you better. So I want to create an environment where it doesn't weaken me to shine the light on what other people are doing. The goal is that we get to the other side together, that we win more together, and that we create an environment of strength, right, that other people can emulate. And that doesn't mean everything we're doing is perfect. Doesn't mean we don't make mistakes, so we don't have to pivot. It just means we don't wallow in the setback. We learn from it, we grow from it, and then we win better the next time. And that mindset has really helped in what I've been doing and the folks that I try to teach and grow.
No, I think that is genuine, and to your point, I've shared with my business friends that it's about partnership and collaboration. I'm not dimming my light when I share other folks, and they're not dimming theirs. But we're helping each other grow. So, with that being said, from one author to another, can you share a couple of key insights from your book, A CEO's Unlikely Path to Success? What do we need to know? I've started. I haven't finished. I'm in it. I'm in it, and I'm getting nuggets. So I mean, it's necessary. Let's talk to the people. They need to get the book.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I appreciate it very much. The journey is real, and the beginnings were truly humble. But I never let my current circumstance minimize the size of my dream. And I think so many of us do that. And the second thing that I would say, both from the book and just life in general, is the phrase, your network is your net worth. And the people that we meet and talk to and fellowship with along the way, you want to keep in good space with, because you never know who can open a door for you, who can make a call for you, who can teach you something. It's one of the reasons why I'm always available for a cup of coffee or virtual cup of coffee with folks, because you never know who you're going to meet and connect with that can open doors for you and be a powerful ally or champion right along the way. And great ideas and great concepts come from all different kinds of places. So your network, right, and cultivating that in an active way, not your social network, your business network, to where when somebody needs an introduction, you're happy to do it, but you can turn around and make that similar ask, that relationship has a two-way street to it. And the final thing I'll say that, I talked about in the book and different things. I talked about a couple of things from my dad and Grant. And, my mom and dad left Bogalusa, Louisiana as teenagers and relocated to Connecticut. My dad was a college football player at the University of Connecticut, and both my parents ended up graduating from there. But if you think about the deep, deep South in the 70s and then them moving to Connecticut, you can just kind of imagine the culture shock, if for lack of a better term. But what my parents did is they created an environment for me and my sister that we could be whatever we dreamt and were willing to work hard enough to achieve. And so it's really important that you, for your family, for you as an individual, but we're talking more in a business context, make sure you're in an environment that wants to help you grow and succeed. Because there's some things you can do on your own, but it's difficult to overcome your environment. So sometimes for you to get to the next level, you have to change your environment. And so when I'm talking to young people as they're coming up, especially coming out of college, your first and second job should not be about who's going to pay you the most money. Your first, and I'm not saying don't be competitively paid. I'm just saying that shouldn't be the top of your list in the first and second job. Your first and second job is where are you going to get the best mentorship and coaching, and then where are you going to get the best opportunity to explore the most facets of business at the earliest in your career. And if you have that advantage in your first and second job, you will pass so many people that it is unbelievable, because those experiences are going to help frame and shape and grow and guide you ahead of the curve versus going somewhere that pays you $5,000 more, $10,000 more, but they put you in a box and tell you do this one thing, talk to me each week at our one-on-one on Tuesdays, and otherwise I don't want to hear from you. You made 10 more thousands of dollars, but the person that has a better environment is going to outgrow you because their environment has more fertilizer. The seed is more ready. The grass in the ground is more fertile for you to grow in. And now you can really become the person you need to be faster. And I see so many people making job choices purely from a financial standpoint. And I get it. If you got bills and you can't afford to think like that, I get it. But long term, it is most important your environment for growth.
Oh, listen, we can stay on just this one topic forever. One of the things that I know we have to wrap up here, but one of the things that I have seen is that there's a fine line between diversity, equity, and inclusion and mental health. And the reason I say that is if I had known 25 years ago, if I had met you 25 years ago and you said that to me, I probably would not have stayed in the corporate space as long as I did, because what I should have done, I should have looked at what the leadership looked like before I was so gung-ho to work for this company, because there was no one that looked like me. So to be in that space and to have this job that is paying an amazing salary because we had bills, right? It was golden, not realizing that they were going to try to put me in a box. So my charge was to your roar and my roar. Let this be a lesson learned when we make the transition to the next thing. Let the next thing be my own next thing, right? And when we walk out of here, let's walk out of here with respect to economic development and walk out debt free. That is how I was able to even start my firm. So I appreciate and value everything that you said. And our college students need to know that. It's not about the money, because you can make all the money in the world. If you don't have peace of mind while you're there and appreciate where it is that you're going. I know folks that are going to down 40 to go to jobs they don't like, to work with folks they don't like, because they don't have a sense of belonging. So what you just said is extremely profound. Everyone needs to tune into that, because you can make all the money in the world and be miserable. I would rather have peace. I would rather love the place that I am going into, be it virtual or on site, love the work that I'm doing and the folks I'm working with, and also know that the fertilizer has been sold and there is space and opportunity for growth and scalability. So I thank you for the time. I don't know how it is that you do all it is that you do, but we thank you for the work-life balance that you have, and to your project manager at home, I'm sure she's helping keep that schedule together. So we thank you for what it is that you offer us, and I am humbled and appreciative of the time that we've been able to have together. So thank you so much.
Oh man, Dion, this has been super fun. The time has flown by.
It has.
And look forward to staying connected.
Yes.
And continuing to find ways that we can partner and collaborate and work together.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for joining us on High Octane Leadership with Donald Thompson. Today's episode is a step in our collective journey towards leadership excellence. Remember, every story we share and every insight we gain is a piece in the puzzle of our leadership journey. For more insight and detail, hit the subscribe button so that we can stay connected. For deeper information and more episodes, go to donaldthompson.com. Continue to lead with vision and purpose, and until we meet again, embrace your role as a high-octane leader in the ever-evolving world of business.